to order. This is a regular meeting. Today's date is Monday, October the 23rd, 2023. And the time is 5:33 or so, she was telling me, right? So 31, all right. So we're coming to order. And we're going to be led in a word of prayer by Commissioner Cottle. And then our pledge of allegiance to the flag is going to be done by Mr. Jack Hendricks this afternoon. Right? All right, Mr. Cottle.
Thanks, Mayor. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the right to gather here in freedom, and we would ask that with the world being as it is and not at peace, that this will be a place of peace, and that we will conduct ourselves in a manner that is pleasing to you. Be with all those who are in need of your grace. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Mr. Jack, want to come up?
It's always an honor as a veteran to be asked to do this, so join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's nice to have you do some work before you present on the agenda. Commissioners, you have our agenda in front of you. You've had it since Friday. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda, but I'd like to make one addition to the agenda. Item 1A, it's some information about Veterans Day, and Mr. Jack Hendricks is going to present that to us at the proper time. So can I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Next item on the agenda is hear the public, but before we do that, I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Jenny Holland for conducting the meeting in my absence 2 weeks ago, and appreciate that. And it's nice to have a team of 5 that when the mayor or any commissioners out, we just keep on with business as normal. So I want to publicly thank you for doing that, young lady. All right. So at this section, we hear the public. You may raise your hand, be recognized, identify yourself, and you can talk to us, speak to us at this point about items that are on the agenda, items only on the agenda. So hear the public, items on the agenda. Is there anyone willing to, or that needs to speak to us this? All right, well, let's move along then. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of a proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Purple Tuesday. And Commissioner Peak is going to read that for us.
Okay. Whereas the problem of domestic violence impacts countless Danvillians without regard to age, race, gender, religion, or economic status, and victims suffer at the hands of a spouse or partner affecting their children, families, and entire communities. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's livelihood, dignity, security, and humanity due to the methodical use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, or economic control, and or abuse. And whereas victims should have help to find the compassion, support, and healing they need, and domestic abusers should be punished to the full extent of the law. And whereas survivors of domestic violence should also have access to medical and legal services, counseling, transitional housing, and other supportive services so that they can escape the cycle of abuse. And whereas significant partnerships must be molded among criminal and juvenile justice agencies, healthcare providers, human service professionals, and victim services to assist survivors of domestic violence and their families. And whereas it is imperative to recognize the compassion and dedication of the individuals who provide services to victims of domestic violence and work to increase the public understanding of this significant problem. And whereas everyone has a moral obligation to work to prevent and address the brutal and destructive effects of domestic violence, protecting vulnerable members of our society, and helping to make ending domestic violence a community priority. Now therefore be it resolved that Mayor James J.H. Atkins and the commissioners, city commissioners of the city of Danville on this 23rd day of October 2023 recognize October 24th as Domestic Violence Awareness, Purple Tuesday, and joins with ampersand Sexual Violence Resource Center, Greenhouse 17, and the County Attorney's Office, along with others across Danville and Bull County, in supporting victims of domestic violence, and urges all citizens to participate in sending a loud and clear message that domestic violence and any other form of violence is not tolerated in our community.
Thank you, ma'am. To the commission, is there a motion?
I move we approve the proclamation into the record.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion or comments? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Is there anyone here to receive the proclamation? Yes, you ladies want to come forward and say a few words after you identify yourselves? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Mary Wells, and I work for Ampersand Sexual Assault Counseling Resource Center. And we are having an event tomorrow at Constitution Square. It starts at 5:30. It'll end at 7. And we have several survivors that are going to share their stories. And we're going to end with a candlelight visual. So we appreciate your support.
And I am Ashley Edwards. I'm the Bull County Attorney Victim Advocate, and we definitely appreciate your all support tonight.
Thank you, ladies. And we're not only going to show our support tonight, but hopefully we'll show our support tomorrow by showing up at 5:30 for your event. And it's Word Purple. That might be kind of hard for some. Oh, Kevin, look at you. You wear it again tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch it.
All right. Any comments or questions for these ladies?
Appreciate what you do.
Well, let's present the proclamation to them. Kevin, you can come down and take a picture with us? You want to come down and take a picture with us? I'll just call you up, you got purple on. No. You got
You going down? Are we all going down?
They need a special invitation.
Okay. Well, we didn't have purple on.
I didn't mean it that way, I don't have which one either, but I'm gonna do tomorrow, right? Get that one purple tie, one purple shirt on. All right? Come on, ladies. What did she do all the work that you do? Protect the women and the men in our community. The other time, you know, my wife, she goes back. You smile to her.
Big smiles. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. All right. See you right there. How about our community members, the work like 2 weeks ago? And you been winning bars? Thank you all for that. Next item on the agenda is Mr. Jack Hendricks is going to talk to us about Veterans Day.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, audience. Appreciate you taking the time for me to come up and fill you in on some things. But one thing I wanted to do first for you, some of you have already been able to introduce you. I wanted to introduce the gentleman with me. His name is Donnie Canister, and he's the new VFW commander that took over in June here at our local post. And the biggest thing I want to let you know that he's going to do, he's volunteered to help me keep the memorial up as we've done in the last 20-some years, and keep me straight and help me out a little bit once in a while. And if something happens, I can't be around or can't be there, he's going to help me take care of it. So he may be the person you talk to down the road. Hopefully I'll be here another 10, 12 years to take care of it, but we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, Donnie done U.S. Army vet.
He done 2 tours in Afghanistan. And he's been around a while, had a lot of management type jobs, so he knows that always a good manager has somebody sitting in the wings ready to take their place in case you have to go somewhere. So anyway, this is who you may be dealing with sometime in the future or whatever. So, thank you, Donnie.
Well, thank you for your service, Mr. Cannister?
Huh?
Canister?
Canatster.
Cannister.
Canatster.
And
I had a problem with it too, Mayor.
okay. Well, I just hope that you retired because you just taking on another full-time job. No, not the monument. This guy right here, right? Another full-time job for you.
He's looking right now, so, if anybody's got any management positions and needs an awful good man, here he is. So
Wow,
I'll put a
okay.
plug in for him because he's certainly doing a heck of a good job down at the VFW, getting us back on track and getting the post headed in the right direction and getting our community service back in the post like we should be doing. Of course, we lost the roof. We've been shut down for 6 months. He jumped right in with us in the building committee, and we're back up and running. Right now, it's probably 3 times better than it was before because thank God we had insurance, and we've spent about $260,000 renovating it. So it's a nice post. You ought to come down and see it sometime. But anyway, get back to business on the Veterans Memorial, a little update on the renovations that, we started back in the spring. We got the tank painted, as you know. The flowers are just absolutely beautiful out there this year. Eddie Devine's done a fabulous job for you all, and all over town, but out there especially. And the artillery piece, the flowers were taking up so much room around it. Our guy that's painting it, Sean Baston, wanted to wait till the flowers kind of died back before we do the artillery piece. So he's going to do the artillery piece here probably in the next month or so. So it'll be all up to date. Wow. And along with that, I've talked with Eddie Devine, I've talked with Earl, Janet, and thank you all for coming up, and Earl especially for getting to help us with the flowers out there now. Our rose bushes have been there for about 15 years. So they need to come out. According to Eddie, normally those knockout roses are only good for 6, 7 years. So we've had them there for 15, and they're not what we want to represent that memorial. So with the flowers that he's done out there, they're so nice, so beautiful. I asked him and Janet and Earl if maybe he could go ahead and replace the rose bushes in those areas in addition to what he's already doing. And Earl graciously agreed, as did, and Janet's going to make sure that you've got the flowers. And the city commission, I hope, has been informed about all of that, and I'm sure Earl has. So anyway, we thank you. Those flowers, it's not going to be that big a cost. I mean, there's only 30 feet, 40 feet that needs to be done. So, but anyway, thank you for that. That'll be part of the renovation next spring. We'll have everything in excellent shape out there. Veterans Day event we got coming up. We want to make sure you're invited. Come out and help. Do whatever you want to. Mingle, have a lunch, do whatever. It'll be November the 10th at the National Guard Armory, and you're going to be surprised if you haven't been out there. They did a $2.4 million renovation of that place. So we've tried for years to make sure that we kept our armory here. It was about to close down about 3 or 4 years ago. And a lot of us met with the Adjutant General on 3 or 4 different occasions and let him know that Bull County wanted our armory here. It had been here for 50 years and we didn't want it to leave. So when they come up with this amount of money to spend on renovations, we're pretty sure now they're going to stay. So for you that don't know it, they'll be moving a unit in here, a partial unit from Richmond. It's an MP unit. So it'd be a big help to Tony if he ever needs it, when you got an MP unit right here in town. There'll be approximately 65 to 70 members that will be stationed there. But it's a beautiful place. They've went in and really done a magnificent job of, and you'll see that when you come out on November 10th. It's really a nice facility. And
what
the
time was
dinner, say again?
What time was that, Jack?
11 to 2. There'll be plenty of parking over in Admiral Stadium. We've got permission to use that again. There will be multiple golf carts to give people rides back and forth. The inside area, the blacktop area right in front of the armory, we can't have any parking in there even though we'd like to. It's just a drop-off point for handicap and for the people bringing in food, beverages, and that sort of thing. So you have to park over at Admiral Stadium. There'll be a golf cart there to run you back over, and same thing going back when you get ready to leave. So, but come in, there'll be barbecue, fish, and all the trimmings, as you know, that we have every year. We're expecting anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 vets this year over the 3-hour period. Because we've missed 3 years, we could be full and it could be only 600 or 700. But I think from all the action and comments and questions we've got, we're going to have a big crowd. So come out, mingle, meet the vets, thank them, let them know you care, and that's what this is for. It's for the veterans. And Mayor, you being a veteran, you know what it's all about. It's to say thank you to all of our veterans here in Boyle County. Along with that, this is our 13th year, by the way. We had 12 straight, and then we had to break because of COVID. So this is the 13th year that we're going to have this. Got a lot of people that's been working on it since back in June, July. It's when we started planning and working on it and getting the donations and the help and the volunteers. Along with that, we're bringing back the VFWs, the city-county dinner. I think I sent most of you an email on that. It's a thing that the VFW likes to do to say thank you to all the city-county employees as well as all of our elected officials that for all you all do. It's just something as a community service that we took up about 25 years ago, and we missed it for a couple of years, like everything else, because of COVID. But we're bringing it back. It will be December the 13th, 11 to 1. And we're having it out at the showroom because it's so much more parking, and the facility is great for that type of event. You know, all the fire trucks and police cruisers and all, it takes up a lot of room. So the parking was the big thing, but it'll be there from 11 to 1 at the showroom on Lebanon Road. And as I say, all city and county employees and elected officials are invited, so we hope you'll come out and enjoy it. It's a thank you from the Veterans of Foreign Wars for all you guys do, and as well as all the employees that the city has. Any questions about anything?
Any questions? Thank yous? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work on the wall out there, Jack.
Okay, let's move along then. The next item is a proclamation for Extra Mile Day. We have a proclamation for that? Can you see that one? Want to read that from Ms. Jenny? We've seen that one.
Yeah, I can read it.
You want this, Jenny?
I enlarged it, I can see it now. So I'm going to read the proclamation for Extra Mile Day. Whereas Danville, Kentucky is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And whereas Danville, Kentucky is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving themselves wholeheartedly with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas Danville, Kentucky is a community which chooses to shine a light and celebrate individuals and organizations within its community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of their community. And whereas Danville, Kentucky acknowledges the mission of Extra Mile America to create 500 extra mile cities in America and is proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2023. Now therefore, Mayor James J.H. Atkins and the Board of Commissioners of the City of Danville, Kentucky do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2023 to be Extra Mile Day and urge each individual in the community to take time on this day to not only go the extra mile in his or her life, but to also acknowledge all those who are inspirational in their efforts and commitment to make their organizations, families, community, country, or world a better place.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion from the commission?
I make a motion to approve the proclamation as presented.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion, comments? If not, all those in favor of this proclamation, say aye.
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 Those opposed, proclamation carries. Next on our agenda, we call to the podium Ms. Terry Johnson, who is from the Kentucky League of Cities, and she's here to present some awards and recognitions to some of our fellow commissioners.
I certainly am. Well, thank you, Mayor and Commission and everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. I definitely think the city of Danville goes the extra mile, and part of what I'm going to talk about, I think, reflects that. So I work for the Kentucky League of Cities, and if you don't know what we do, we work with cities all over Kentucky on all sorts of things. We advocate for cities, and we have things like insurance and finance, and one of the biggest services that we provide is training. And so your city officials and your employees are very active in our training program, and that's important for the public to know, because that means that your city officials and employees are very well educated in city governance on things like ethics, HR, cybersecurity, safety, planning and zoning, all those good things. So I always like to say that, just because I like for the public to hear that your city officials and employees are really making an effort to stay on top of things and get trained and do the best job they possibly can for you. So at our conference last month, we recognized several folks from Danville. Randy Boyd received an award there, and several other folks did too. But I made a list of some of the achievements of several of your folks, and I thought I would just read those off before I make the presentation. All of your commissioners have achieved a number of credit hours, and the way we do this is we have 4 different categories: level 1, level 2, level 3, and then we have a new category that several of your folks are closing in on, a master's level of training. But the mayor has almost 175 hours of training through KLC. Commissioner Cottle, 90 plus. Commissioner Holland, 60 plus. I'll get to Commissioner Saris in a moment. Commissioner Peak is sort of the OG, because she was a city clerk for a long time, so she has lots of hours, almost 244 training hours through KLC.
But it hadn't helped.
Ashley Rader, 250 hours. So anyway, this is really, outstanding, and I just, hope that you all appreciate that as much as we do, because it certainly signifies a lot of effort in learning and continuous education. So tonight, I'm specifically here to recognize a couple of people. Josh Morgan, the city engineer. I wanted to present him with this plaque for his achievement of 36.5 hours. And did you have any idea I was coming? Okay. Well, congratulations.
Josh, come on around the table so we'll get a good picture of you.
And your face kind of matches Terry's shirt, by the way.
And then the second award that I'm here to present tonight is to Commissioner Rick Saris, who has now achieved Level 3 Masters of City Governance Award. So congratulations.
All right.
I thought masters is an age thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Almost 90, 89.25. Almost 90.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, so thank you
Ms.
very
Johnson.
much for allowing me to have time to be here. And again, thank you to all of you for what you do. And we appreciate you. We love the people we work with at KLC. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And don't forget to spend a little money before you leave town tonight now.
Actually,
She already has.
She
She said she's already done it.
a couple of shops and a bakery.
You-
So I always give myself time.
You catch it on real well. That's good. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next on our agenda is an update from our Board County Health Department. Mr. Blevins, thank you, sir, for your attendance tonight.
Always appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all, and as you know, feel free to ask me any questions. I always like to start out with a few numbers to kind of give you some idea of some things we're looking at in Boyle County, and then we'll talk a little further from there. So, all right. I looked up the Boyle County COVID cases because that's still one of the main questions I get asked by people, and they want to know. So from January 1st of this year through October 9th, we had 815 cases reported. Now that was, during that time, that's almost a year, not quite a year. And then from August 1st through October 9th, we had 248 of that 815 cases. So keep in mind, anytime you're looking at reported cases, that's only what's reported. There can be plenty of other cases that people did self-test at home, and those are never picked up. It's only if somebody went somewhere that it was reported to an agency to do that. Boyle County COVID deaths from January 1st of 23 through October 9th of 23, we had 10 that were reported on the state system. From August 1st of 23 through October 9th of 23, we had 1 out of that 10. So that kind of gives you a little idea of the time period of how that worked. I looked back at the spikes in COVID. Just, it's almost 4 years, but I think sometimes it's just good to remember where we were. November of 2020, we had a spike. August of 21, we had a spike. January of 22, we had a spike in cases. August of 22 and December of 22, we had a spike in cases. And then August of 23. Now, there's a lot of up and downs when you look at a graph of any kind of infectious disease that's out in the public like that. And the ones I'm talking about were pretty significant, that if you looked at a graph, you could tell that there was a spike going up and down. But it just kind of gives us a little idea of what we were looking at then. Looking at flu cases, I get asked a lot about flu cases. So for Kentucky, in the number of new cases reported just last week was 868. And the same deal goes for flu that it was for COVID. A lot of people will have flu and they do the rapid tests, and the rapid tests are not reported to the state of Kentucky. So these are only lab confirmed cases when you're looking at that. And then the total number of cases so far had been 1,260. And if you look at the Boyle County data, it was not very much at that time. It showed we had 5 total and 2 in the last week. Now, we all know there's a lot more flu cases been going around than 5 total in Boyle County. But again, it's the same deal. Most of those cases are not lab. Somebody doesn't go to the doctor and get that lab. They just do it rapid and they get the results then and go from there. But at least that gives you a little idea on those kind of numbers. Okay. So let's talk about harm reduction just a second, because there's quite a few numbers on that. And actually, I'll do all the health department numbers for the last year or the last fiscal year at one time, and then we'll look at harm reduction a little bit. So in the harm reduction, we had 1,366 visits of people who came to our needle syringe door. and that was to receive services. We had 440 HIV tests and 1,517 Narcan kits given out. Now, most of you know Amy A., and she's the Narcan person pretty much in town, and she does a lot of that. So a lot of these were done through the program we have at the health department that Amy runs. At the health department, we also did 2,063 clinic services, 924 flu shots, 420 biometric screenings, 3,990 environmental services, and that's everything from inspecting restaurants to septic systems to just general complaints we get on a restaurant or the business that's selling food. And we had done 352 COVID shots. Now, keep in mind, these numbers are from when our year ended as of June 30th of '23. So that's how our fiscal year runs on that. Tell you a few other numbers that I know is real interesting information for a lot of the community, not just the numbers we have, but just in general conversation, is the homeless people that we've served. So we have a grant. I wrote a grant about a year ago through the state of Kentucky, and they awarded it to us. It was $50,000. And what it is, it was based off COVID money, essentially Federal CARES Act money that was left over. And what we were able to do is if somebody was homeless and they were willing to take a COVID test, then if they needed a place to stay, we could do a night or two. And so a guy named Roger Fox, which most of you probably have run across Roger Fox, he runs that program for me. And to date, we've done 28 vouchers for hotels, meaning over 50 nights that he's been able to put somebody up in a hotel. He's talked to well over 100 people, and he's given out over 50 COVID tests that were actually taken. So the problem's real. The amount of people that Amy or any of us that are working the syringe door feed on a daily basis that report, because that's a question we ask. One of the questions we ask are, have you OD'd since the last time we've seen you? And what's your housing? And they can report back it's stable, not stable, or whatever. And a lot of them honestly report that they're couch hopping, car hopping, wherever. Because I happen to live with the lady who runs United Way, and the 211 number is out there. The amount of calls they are getting for people who are homeless that are on the street right now and they're looking for some kind of place to be is amazing to me, what that's grown in the last year or two. It's a lot that's happening. So the homeless thing isn't going away, and I know you all know that. I'm not saying anything new on this. It seems to be growing, obviously, and what that's going to become or what that's going to look like. But I thought it would be good to at least hear some actual numbers from a program that's doing this on a daily basis. The reality with Roger and the homeless program is, if you know much about Roger, he's talked to so many more people than just the numbers I report. I mean, that guy is right in the middle of this kind of stuff, as well as a lot of other ones, Amy A. and Hillary and a lot of different ones that do that. So that gives you a little idea of some numbers of what we're looking at and what we're seeing. To give you just a real quick idea of what public health is doing and how it's kind of changing. We had public health transformation, which happened over the last couple of years, and it happened during COVID, so you didn't hear a lot about it. But what it did, it narrowed down to us what was required of a health department and then what we could do in the community with taxing dollars. And so the things that are required are WIC, HANDS, the environmental services, some clinic services, population health, emergency preparedness and response, and harm reduction is now a required piece of what health departments are doing. Before, we were just doing it, but now it's required. And so anything else we want to do outside of that, we actually have to show an actual evidence-based need. And one of the things we're fortunate here in Danville and Boyle County is Ephraim McDowell does one of these community health assessments about every 3 years. If you have not read that, I encourage you to go on their website. It's right there and read it. The amount of data they collect is pretty astonishing, and it's usable data that's talking about us. It's not talking about anywhere else. It's talking about us and the surrounding counties around us. We also did our own needs assessment this year that we'll be putting out for the public soon from the health department. But we're able to take that data and use it to look at positions we need. So just this year alone, we added Roger Fox. He's on contract with us. He has a different job too, but he also does this for us on contract. Hillary Blevins, no relation to me, but probably a lot of you have run into Hillary in the harm reduction world. She now is a contract with us doing harm reduction because Amy A. is out of the building so much, doing Narcan and different events like that. We added Hillary Baker, who is now doing tobacco cessation classes for us. And she's also working with Ephraim McDowell. They have a lung cancer screening program that they wanted some collaboration on. So we've worked on that with Dr. Holly and Ephraim to be able to send people back and forth to be have a lung cancer screening once they're in these classes. Okay, that's enough of me chatting for a minute. Any questions? I mean, I can ramble on for a while. Anything in particular on anybody's mind about public health?
What was the ODs, death-related overdoses? Are they up or down, or do you have that?
Actually,
I'm
we
just
just talked
curious.
about this at ASAP, and it was interesting. They had reported one, can't remember the time frame, Kevin, I'm drawing a blank on that, but we did just talk about that. If I remember correctly, the previous year we had 16, and I think it went down to 15 maybe. But Terry Dunn, who works for EMS, was in that meeting, and that position that they have funded, however that's funded, has turned out to be a real plus for this community. And you all probably already know this, but if there's an overdose, suicide, that type of thing that EMS responds to, Terry Dunn then follows up with the family directly and tries to offer services, anything that's needed. And when he comes in and reports, his numbers at times are growing because he'll report out monthly of the number of calls that he goes on. And it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. The suicide rates are pretty, it's sad. I mean, that's just what it is.
Other questions, comments?
I had one other about COVID-wise, if you're a person who takes the vaccines and the boosters, is there a new one, different one since?
There is. It's
There
the
is.
newest one, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one that came out several months ago. But here's the issue we're running into now. It's a supply chain issue now. We don't have the new COVID shots in and probably won't for another week. I know CVS had them for a while. I think Medicine Shop was able to get a few in. The problem that's happened now is they're no longer free. So no matter what advertisement you see anywhere on TV and it says it's a free shot, it's not. Somebody's insurance is paying for that. And so before, we had a lot of COVID shots. We just did them for free because it was a great public health thing that we needed to do. We had the medicine, we needed to do it. But that is no longer the case. If somebody gets some in and gives them out to free for the community, great. But that's the difference now. So now we're buying, just like all the rest of the agencies are, from the open market. And it's definitely different to get those. So.
Anyone else?
Do y'all still do the flu shot, the drive-through?
We did the
Drive around.
We do two different versions of that. We did that earlier in October, and that's a great service. We had over 100 people come through that, and a lot of people who are mobility challenged come through that. And they've gotten used to doing it, and we love doing it. The other one we do is for a couple of agencies in the community who their clients have some maybe physical disabilities or maybe even some mental type handicaps. And it's easier for them to be in the car as opposed to having to go into someplace. And so they drive, we have a separate day for that, and they drive through and we do a flu shot right there in the car. And glad to do that one. And then I'll throw in one other thing about the homeless piece. Dr. Kaylin Wiles with Center College is every year she has a research group that works with ASAP, and we essentially pick a topic to do. And last year it was what the police department and some other agencies thought about syringe exchange. I learned a lot from the data we got back from that. This year they're doing homeless. And I know Commissioner Holland's already been interviewed, and maybe, I don't know if anybody else on the commission has. Yeah. And they will use that data. We'll publish that out of ASAP. And I encourage you, they'll do an open forum probably the end of November, the beginning of December. If you see that information, make it a point to go and spend that 30 minutes, because they actually talk to a lot of people in town that are working with homeless. They're actually going to have the opportunity to potentially talk to some people that are currently homeless so we can get some real-time data. So I just throw that out there because I know obviously a couple of you are involved, but make sure you can attend that if you get the opportunity.
Okay.
Brent, can you, when the health department's done with their evidence-based needs assessment, can you share it with us or the city manager to share with us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then the E for McDowell, we just go to their website to see the current,
And as soon as you
Okay.
get on their website, it'll say community needs health assessment, and it's got its own link. And I believe they also have previous ones on there, so you can actually compare data. But it's a lot of data. It's my main data source when I'm looking for data for our community, because it's us.
Yeah.
thank you.
Other questions or comments? If not, once again, I want to say thanks. Appreciate you, your willingness to come and give us an update. And I hope that those who are watching that are not in the chamber, that they partake of this great information. So thanks again.
Thank you all.
Okay. And you've been followed up by next on our agenda with a Senior Citizen Center update. Mr. Durant?
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. And I think Brent may have slipped out, but we were able to participate in a flu shot clinic along with the health department. They actually came out to our facility and provided flu shots to our seniors and our adult day healthcare clients. So certainly want to appreciate that. And I too was fortunate enough to be able to participate in the interview process with Dr. Wiles' program. So I think that's going to be a real interesting thing for the community. If you'll indulge me for a moment, I'd like to take just a minute to read something to you to honor a staff member of ours that we've recently lost. It's with great sadness that I share with you the passing of our beloved Adult Day Healthcare Director, Anita Pike. She passed away July 31st, 2023 at her home. We had a gathering place her heart broken and share that with one another as we all began to grieve together. Anita began working at the center in September of 1995 with a passion and a fire for her clients that she kept aflame during her nearly 28 years at the center. She had a measurable impact on all she met, loving each and every one as though they were her own family. Anita worked tirelessly to make sure that everyone who entered the building felt welcome. She would laugh with them, cry with them, celebrate their victories, overcome obstacles together, and always put her needs last in service of those in her care. Most of all, she loved every single one of them from the moment they walked through the door. Words cannot express how we feel as we do continue to mourn our dear Anita. Though small in stature, she was huge in heart. Anita was a presence in our daycare whose absence will be felt for years to come. Excuse me, I speak for us all in saying that she was a compassionate and wonderful woman whom we are proud to have worked alongside. Anita was an amazing mother and grandmother, an advocate for the clients she loved so dearly, but most of all, she was our friend. She will be missed. I want to take a moment to just share with you what's going on at a gathering place. We are busy. We continue to stay busy. Among our normal activities, our home delivered meal program, our Meals on Wheels program has continued to flourish. We have volunteers that are continuing to be utilized to assist in our meal delivery, and we always welcome additional volunteers. And we've actually, we've gotten some new volunteers as of late. So that's certainly very helpful in us being able to serve the community in a larger capacity. Some of the other things that have been going on kind of behind the scenes, we went through a major website redesign. So our aesthetic would be streamlined with our social media and a branding initiative that's been deployed across all those media. We have fully resumed our transportation assistance for the seniors. That's something that we had to suspend during COVID. And so that is something that we are able to provide again. We're not seeing as many rides as we did pre-pandemic. And I think that's both a function of 2.5, 3 years of folks having to figure it out without our assistance. And also, I think it's in part to the bus system that we have here. That's, I see those buses all over town, and that is a fantastic program. We're very fortunate to have that, and I know a lot of our seniors are utilizing that. We replaced some flooring in our adult day health care. We continue to have our garden partnership with the Boyle County Detention Center. As you know, we had a little vandalism incident, which led us to having new security cameras installed. So we hope that we don't have to experience that again. And I do want to say the support that we received from the community after that happened was amazing. The phone calls and emails and texts and just, I had one of my gathering place shirts on, and I think it was Aldi, and somebody stopped me and asked me about it. And so we want to thank the community for going to bat for us on that. Typical day at the center is going to include all sorts of activities. We'll start with coffee talk and social time, move to morning warm up. There's usually an activity, craft, it may be an arts and crafts activity, bingo, bridge, a holiday movie, those sorts of things. And then we have lunch, and then we do what we call focused fun, which is a time for cognitive games and reality orientation. We do some other things. We've taken some field trips out. We were trying to go to the Salado Wildlife Center, but we got rained out on that one. We've taken them to the movies. We have karaoke come in, all sorts of other activities beyond our normal operating hours. We have folks come in after hours that are involved with bridge clubs, dulcimer groups, square dancing, Tai Chi. We've had a couple of groups from our deaf and hard of hearing community that have utilized the facility and continue to do so regularly. We just had the Alzheimer's Association out for a presentation a couple of weeks ago, and Friday we're having a chili supper with. We've invited the Mercer County Senior Center over, so I'm making a really, really hot batch of chili. So if you're feeling brave, Kevin Cottle, you could come out and try that. One exciting thing that we've got that's new is the result of some funding that came down from the ad district. They were able to purchase an OB-Joy console for all of the members in the ad district, and what that is it's an advanced interactive gaming console that projects custom-made games onto surfaces like tabletops, floors, and the walls. It encourages active play through touching, moving, and hand-eye coordination skills on the displayed images. We were able to get the mobile unit, so we can take that throughout the building, and we can also share that with our adult day health care as well. So some of the games really encourage getting up, getting active, getting mobile, and using your brain at the same time. So I think it's a really fun thing that we're going to be able to offer. Our adult day health care, like I said, is very, very busy as well. Sometimes we do activities together with our adult day health care and our senior programming. We did a Mardi Gras party, an Easter egg hunt. We've gone to the extension. This was really cool. We were able to take everybody out to the extension office for the Boyle County Fair's Floral Hall. So they kind of got their own little time out there, and they were able to look at all the crafts, and I think they did a finger painting craft and some other things while they were there. We did a big end of the summer cookout. They've done tie-dye painting or tie-dye T-shirts, rock painting projects. Just did a fall foliage drive today, so they really enjoyed that. We got a Halloween party coming up, and the adult day healthcare clients will come in costume and trick or treat with our seniors. So that's always a fun thing for us to be able to do together. Adult day healthcare is 5 days a week, as you know, and that program, if you're unfamiliar with it, is for adults with special needs in the community that may be unable to care for themselves 24 hours a day. We are a port in a storm for families that do have adults in their household who perhaps cannot be left alone. We have several diagnoses that we work with, and they range from Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, undiagnosed disorders, stroke recovery, dementia, any number of things that would prevent someone from being able to stay home safely. And they are busy. back there, and they are noisy, and they have so much fun, and I have to shut my door sometimes just so I can think, but it's so wonderful to hear them back there having fun. They do have a very rigid schedule, and that routine, I think, is important for the demographic that we're covering. They arrive, they have breakfast, and then reality orientation, group exercise, lunch, rest and relaxation, some kind of activity or craft, then snack time and free recreation time. So they get so creative. Our staff back there is absolutely amazing. And so they've engaged them with flower gardens, and I've got a whole list. I'm not going to go through it all unless you really want me to. But they decorate for all the holidays. We have holiday parties for them. We discovered that lately our census has been really drawn to music, so we've adapted some of our programming to place an emphasis on that. So we've increased music-related activities, including bringing some people in to sing live music and karaoke and name that tune, that sort of thing. They really enjoy that. We go outside when weather's permitting. We've had pajama day, hat day, wacky dress day. Just, whatever we can think of to throw at them, they do, and they have so much fun. If you've not been able to experience that, I would encourage you to come out and see that. And they did, both groups went to the corn maze and pumpkin patch at Divines over in Mercer County, and they had a big time there. So that's just maybe not a brief rundown of everything we do, but it's hard to put it all in something so succinct. I will say regarding our senior activities, we've had since the beginning of the calendar year 12,625 event sign-ins. So that means that we've offered, we've had services that are they're duplicated services. So we have 290 people that have been involved in 12,625 different activities, which comes out to 11,159 hours and 15 minutes of activity that we've provided for seniors. So that's amazing. Our year-to-date total right now for Meals on Wheels is 34,952 meals. We are on pace to provide 45,953 by the end of the year, so just shy of 50,000 meals in one calendar year. If you go back to the beginning of the pandemic when we first had to shut down, that total currently is 138,597 meals, and we'll reach just 2 meals shy of 149,600 by the end of the calendar year. So that's, when you think about that, that's amazing. And that does not include the meal service on the senior side or the breakfast, lunch, and snack for adult day health care. That comes out to another 14,040 additional meals. So we have a lot going on, and I can't thank our staff enough for their hard work and vigilance, and I can't thank the city enough for your continued support and your belief in what we do and in our mission, and supporting the senior citizens of this community who have long given of their time, talent, and efforts to make the city of Danville a better place to live for all of us.
Thank you, sir.
There was a lot of information real
Oh, that's all
fast. I
right.
was drinking from a fire hose, but if anybody has any questions, I'm glad to answer them.
How many in your staff?
12, actually, it's 12, sorry. Yeah, and most of those are part-time. Our senior staff, we have one full-time person, and everyone else is from 8 to 2. Our adult day healthcare staff is full-time, and we do have 2 nurses that alternate days. So we get a lot done with very few people.
That's great. That's amazing. That's great. Wow. Any other comments or questions?
How many do you have in adult daycare, usually, average?
We usually have around 15. We have, I think, 18 on the census, and we have some more that we're supposed to be providing services to as soon as we can get them cleared through Medicaid, which, as you probably know, there's a massive backlog in Medicaid services right now. So we're just kind of waiting on what we call a PA letter, which is a prior authorization letter to get them started on their waiver services.
Ms. Holland?
Yeah, if you have just 12 part-time people, do you mostly depend on volunteers?
The volunteers do a lot of the meal delivery.
Okay.
That's where the volunteers really pick up a lot of the heavy weight. Is we have 5 routes that we do throughout the county, and we've got it down to kind of a fairly exact science. So we're not backtracking. You know, we're making sense geographically of where we're going and how we're doing it to kind of maximize that efficiency. But yeah, the volunteers really are what keep us in a position where we're able to continue to do 160 meals a day.
Okay, thanks.
Other comments or questions? Again, I want to say thank you, sir. Great update.
Sir.
All right, come out for chili on Friday. Thank you all.
Thanks.
You know, I'm a chili man, so watch out. Next on our agenda is presentation, Solar Rise Boyle County, and to be followed by possibly a resolution. So, Mr. Miles?
Start and then you jump in. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for letting us come before you. Mr. Nolet and I bring forward what we see as an opportunity for citizens in our community to save money on their energy bills. Solarize Boyle will be a program that reduces barriers for homeowners and small business owners to enjoy those significant reductions in their energy bills. So that's where we are. There are, of course, details that we need to think about as we introduce this program.
And what we're doing is modeling this program after activities that were done in the past in Louisville and Lexington and Frankfurt. Frankfurt is actually a very good model for us in terms of the scale of the community, and they ran a successful program in the past year, so we're piggybacking on a lot of their activities. This would be a program that would be a partnership with Kentucky Solar Energy Society, and Preston and I are kind of acting as the local volunteers for KYSES and coordinating locally the program. We're asking the city and the county to be co-sponsors. The county has already signed on and agreed to co-sponsor the program with us. The program basically has us going through and vetting and validating vendors for solar energy, and we would choose one or two vendors in the program because we're advertising for them and we're also pre-screening for them. The vendor would then give everyone participating a discount. So we're able to offer, we think, a discount in the 15 to 20% range, which is pretty significant. And particularly if you're a homeowner now, you're still looking at 30% federal tax credit for a solar installation. So for homeowners, that brings a return somewhere around 10-year, which is beginning to be pretty attractive. You've seen a lot more around town. As you drive around town, there's a lot more rooftop solar out there. For small businesses, there are also possibility to get some additional grant money, and we're exploring how we do that and working through the logistics of that. One of our local businesses has just gotten a grant through REAP, which is Rural Energy Assistance Program, and they're picking up 50% of the cost of the installation with that grant. So they're looking at a 3-year payback for a small business in our area, which really is a no-brainer. You consider farms who are trying to cover the cost of their electricity on the farm, and this one is a downtown business. So we should have lots of opportunity in the county. Our time frame, we're looking at something that would be out in 2024. We will spend time vetting the vendors and selecting vendors somewhere early in the year. And then we would open the program and it would run from about February to probably midsummer, July timeframe. We'll be doing community forums, programs at the library, publicity in other groups as we can think of doing that. Try to get the word out and try to get as many people out as possible. We
wanna
have a
explain to-
fact sheet that we can share with you all, and a couple of pieces of information if you'd like, but we'd really like to hear what your questions might be.
I want you to explain to the commission what you're expecting from the city.
So from the city, we are asking.
And if I may interject for one moment.
Yeah.
Mayor, we have, last week or the prior fiscal court meeting, the court approved a memorandum to endorse the solarized boil program. So what is before you tonight is a resolution that applauds the efforts of the fiscal court in adopting a countywide program to incentivize solar energy through the program that has been discussed today. So what is being asked of you is to pass a resolution that endorses the county's effort in the memorandum that they approved to support a county-wide program. It's not a commitment of dollars or commitment of agreement. It's mere endorsement of the county-wide program that was established by the fiscal court in agreement with the gentleman at the podium.
Is that right?
And we also bring forward a memorandum of agreement between the City Commission, City of Danville, and Kentucky Solar Energy Society that makes clear that neither of those entities have any financial responsibility, and that any purchases are directly between the installer and the homeowner or business owner.
Okay.
We're asking basically no real money from the city, and really we're looking for your sponsorship. We'll throw your name around everywhere and make sure you're on all the publicity, but we want to make sure we're doing something for the community and trying to make sure that we're speaking with one voice, Boyle County and City Commission.
Good. Good. Great.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the Resolution 2023-102301 as presented.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I want to compliment these two fellows for their hard work. They were at fiscal court more than once, getting the wording right and make sure it wasn't a solar farm. So you guys have done a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess, will you reach out to Jeff at the chamber? The small business grants, perked my interest.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
that would be great. Thank you.
And the opportunities, currently the nonprofit organizations now have an opportunity to see significant kickbacks
Oh, wow.
on the
Okay.
costs. And so we'll also be reaching out to churches and municipal
Oh,
organizations.
wow.
Did you say you had a fact sheet or something you could?
Yeah. Is it the old sheet? Let's get one.
It's the same.
Got ours.
We have ours.
Oh, you got one? Okay. You already got theirs.
You already have some? No? Okay.
They don't have that, I don't think.
And Mayor, while you're just reviewing those, again, just so the record of the public and parties are clear, what we're doing here tonight is you are not going to be a technical sponsor of the program. You are endorsing your support for the county's program that is, again, countywide, and the city of Danville is proud to support by virtue of the resolution that's before you today, but not a technical sponsor of the program.
So the one thing we would like to see, though, is that there would be a point person that would be somebody from the city.
Well,
that
and
would
that's
be
gonna
our
be
primary contact. And
Your contact is going to be through the county exclusively, And the city is endorsing the program through their resolution today, but your contact is going to be with the fiscal court and not a staff person with the city of Danville. It's a county-wide program. The county is administering it in conjunction with you and the memorandum of agreement that was passed, and the city is endorsing the program as established at the county. So I want to be clear about the technical relationship between the parties. So while the city is a supporter of the program, it is not an administrator or a sponsor of it technically.
Yeah, it's a great program, but to eliminate confusion for users of the program, since the counties covers the entire county, that just seemed to be cleaner. Now, we do need to support them and you know, the marketing aspect of it. They want to use Danville, and that's totally allowed and permitted with the way you all done. And so,
So we would note that the Frankfurt program has both city and county support, and both of those entities are helping with the publicity. So when the program is live, it was live on the city website and on the county website.
Well, we're not saying about the website, but again, it's a recommendation of staff and the city manager that the city endorse the county's program. If the city's logo can be used to benefit the program at certain times, I think you can do that by virtue of the resolution that's being passed here tonight. But from a technical perspective, the city's not a part of the actual MOA that was presented.
right.
But everything within the city of Danville is covered, obviously, as a city within Boyle County.
Yeah, so we'll do a link off of our website for you and do all those aspects of it. But we're just not a signature, the city is not a signature on the MOA with the county. That's just not necessary. And I know that, so ultimately, the city's supporting the program and encouraging the program. It's just you're not a signature on the MOA, which with the county, it covers the city too.
The benefit of the MOA is to clarify for the community that neither the city or the Kentucky Solar Energy Society are financially responsible for any conflicts between the installer and the purchaser. Is that not of value to the city commission?
Citizens of Danville are covered as citizens of the county. Therefore, you're protected under the existing agreement, and what is before the memorandum with the city is unnecessary. Unless, I mean, will you, it would be duplicative for you to go to the City of Perryville Council, the City of Junction City Council, and the City of Danville in order to get memorandums for all residents when, in fact, by a county agreement, you're covered. This is our typical manner in which we work with the county in a lot of efforts. So sometimes the city takes lead, sometimes the county takes lead. And this is one in which the county has approved a program and the city is happy to support the countywide program, which is what the resolution before you does.
Sounds different from what we talked about, but sounds like it might
Well,
work.
it's different than our understanding as well, but if that
Okay.
is what the commission
Yeah.
is happy with, it sounds like we could live with that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're always happy to work with the county because it's a bigger body, but I knew what you were after, so that's why I said, okay. But
Right, and it was my understanding, there may be some miscommunication here, but it was my understanding the city manager, Dr. Miles, contacted you to discuss this prior to tonight about the city's intention in moving forward in this manner.
so we're okay? So do we need to pass the resolution?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'd like to
Right.
endorse the program by passing
All
the
right.
resolution. Right.
All right. Okay. So we have a motion and a second, and we have had a little discussion. Any other unreadiness? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you all.
Can we get a copy of the memorandum of agreement, I mean, that this county passed, so that we can just, well, but because the city doesn't have one.
I don't know why you would necessarily need that, Commissioner, but it's essentially a document that says what the roles and responsibilities of the parties are.
Yeah.
One that just says, that outlines the process that was dictated tonight to you.
Okay.
I can get that to you.
Okay. And thank you for offering to advertise this on our website, I guess through Melanie, and really getting the word out, so thank you.
All right. Moving right along, the next item is the approval of the minutes of the previous meetings.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meetings as presented.
I'm a second.
Okay. Those dates being,
10/9/2023.
okay, thank you, ma'am, I couldn't see those, okay. And there is a second, any questions or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of those two meetings, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, thank you again. Whew. I'm trying to let my phone start ringing before I move on to the next item. Next item is Resolution 2023-10-2302, ITS surplus. City Clerk Rader, want to present that to us?
Yes, the water plant has a printer that they are wanting to surplus, and upon approval, it'll be put on Gov Deals for auction.
Okay. Is there a motion to,
I'll move to approve Resolution 2023102302.
Second.
thank you, ladies. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is 23-10-2303, scrap metal surplus. Ms. Rader again.
Yes, Public Services has some scrap metal that we need declared surplus, and we will dispose of that property by transferring it to the Board of Education of Bull County for use in the high school shop class without compensation.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve Resolution 2023-10-2303.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you all. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next item is 2023-10-2304, the renaming of Volkman Avenue Extension.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. In August the 16th, we received a letter from a citizen who is requesting the renaming of the extension, which sits west of 4th Street, entering the shopping center at the end of Baughman. Most folks don't realize that that's actually a city street around to George Martin. And so it's just the section from 4th Street around to that corner. So it goes up and it veers to the right and it turns. So it's currently named Baughman Avenue Extension, and the request is to rename it to Emma's Way. So a few years ago, in 2014, the commission passed a policy on how that is to occur. The resolution begins the process, if you so choose to pursue it, of renaming that consistent with that municipal order. So the municipal order essentially provides for a procedure, which it essentially requires you guys to first determine that the city-owned property should be named or renamed, and it then declares a time period where additional opportunities for renaming can be submitted, 60 days. And so by the resolution, you're beginning the process of that 60-day period. Now, in terms of whether it's renamed, we don't have an address on that street. So as I go down to 911 downstairs, we check the database. We don't have any addresses on that section, so there's really not necessarily an obvious impact. In fact, all the addresses and businesses there have a Houstonville Road address, so it really doesn't change the georeference for dispatch, right? So for us, then therefore, we couldn't justify that it could not be renamed, and so we're providing that to you to start the 60-day time period if you so choose to allow Mr. McCanley's request to follow through.
And it would be renamed?
To Emma's Way, following the process spelled out in the resolution.
Yeah.
It's
After-
essentially in the parking lot, isn't it, the whole street? Or
It's not in the parking lot directly, but it's the section in front of the parking lot. I think it's curved,
okay.
majority of it is. You can access the car wash from it. You can access, but
Okay, yeah,
none of those
I got you.
businesses have, like I said, you can access the bank from it on the south side. But like I said, none of them, they all have Houstonville Road addresses, even the main building and the shopping center.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to tell us to proceed or not to proceed. So,
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-10-2304.
thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. We'll move this process forward. Next item is the city manager report.
I would like to clarify on the solar discussion that we just had, we want to endorse the program. The purpose of them coming tonight and presenting is to raise awareness of the program's initiation, raise awareness of the support of the program and the ideas espoused in the program and all those things. Just the nuance is that, and certainly the resolution permanently suggests that the commission supports that. Just the nuance was the indemnification that was being sought in the MOA already was present with the counties. So it was duplicative, and it wasn't necessary to pass a resolution as just a matter of practice, right? And that's all the variation. We fully support the program. We encourage the program, thinks it's a great idea. Applaud them for their willingness to get out into the street, to do work, and to organize the effort. That wasn't, that wasn't being done, and certainly they took a leadership role in that, and we applaud them for that. And that's definitely a reasonable thing, and we weren't in no way suggesting that it wasn't a worthy effort. We, again, when we looked at it, it was just an unnecessary step. And so moving past that, we would like to talk about from the last meeting, we have reached out to one of the Perryville water customers. I think Marshall met with or has some discussions with the other one. We've not gotten response back yet, which is fine. We'll get with them. We did talk to other folks that were, had concerns. Mr. Magistrate Ellis was here, and we tried to address that by phone with him. We'll continue to reach back out to him and have dialogue directly and see if we can't meet with him. Meanwhile, utility staff has reorganized the cutoff procedure to continue and to develop it where we really were wanting, which was kind of a real-time online cutoff process where the field staff has real-time communication with the office staff, and so that there's no waiting on a piece of paper or waiting on confirmation. As soon as these folks up here can confirm that a payment's been made, they'll activate information on a spreadsheet what the field staff will see as they get to an address. So that process will be a little bit more real-time, which will be a significant improvement. Certainly if Marshall wants to spend time describing it, but I think overall, we just commend him for doing the work that is necessary to move the utility forward. We sent you an email today talking about how that is the industry norm now, is to moving towards an online platform and digital interaction interface with the customer. I would note that the city is not removing alternatives to traditional methods. We are not decreasing the way you pay your bill. We are increasing access to the way, so that if you want to manage your account by phone, you can simply do that. If you want to do it when you're at home, if you want to do it on the phone, if you want to continue to drive here to pay at the window, you can do that. And so while we have been going through the transition, we have done things a lot in the same way other utilities have, which is we've sent mailers out with the bill, we've sent and communicated on social media, and there's, we've tried to host sign-up events for the Invoice Cloud. There's a couple nuances, and I think it is worthy to explain, and I tried to do this in the email today. People used to get a yellow delinquent bill from Danville. You don't get that anymore. You get a phone call. The communication is the same, it's just coming in a different format. And so folks are adapting to the reaction of that. So there has always been this overlap. For example, today, we got 2 or 3 calls where the courtesy call went out the end of last week, and folks were concerned that they had made payment, and now that they're getting this call. Well, it used to happen at your house with a yellow card, so you could make a payment, and your payment, you could make it at the window, and the yellow card would be mailed to your house. You would still get that after you made your payment, and we fielded many, many calls over time with folks concerned that they'd gotten a yellow card after they made their payment, right? Same thing with the phone calls. So it's just, there will be a learning period where the customers adapt to that new method of communication, where instead of getting one card, we're communicating twice. We're communicating the week before the cutoff list, giving folks, reminding folks that are still not paid not made that month's payment, that are on the delinquent list, hey, there's a cutoff date coming up for you. And then we'll follow that up this week at the end of the business day. I think Tuesday, you'll get the other round of calls that says, hey, cutoff day's tomorrow. And so hopefully that is an increase in communication over what we used to do. You were totally subjective to the idea that we can get a postcard out and mailed through the post office to your house. And that it was never consistent, and when it arrived at your house, it would arrive 2 days either side of the date that it was intended. And so we do think this is improvement because we're in control of the actual precise time that the calls are made. So we make the calls, and then you've got a couple days. Then we generate the final cutoff list, and then the other calls are made. So you still have another chance to get in. And I know last time in the Peerville system, there was 4 that came in paid that ended up not, that even got pulled from the time that last call was made to when the cutoff list was actually published. And so all of it's improvement, all of it is, but it does take some time to get used to. It's a different form of communication for folks, and there will continue to be questions, but we will continue to adapt as a society that is moving towards digital platforms and digital interface with utilities in broad reach.
Has the, like the automatic withdrawal, is that pretty well squared away? Because that's what I heard the most complaints on is.
Well, there was 2 forms of that. There's, the one where you go initiate payment using the online platform and the ACH. The most reliable is your automatic withdrawal that occurs on the 10th. We run that, and if your bill's $50, and we subtract $50 from the account, just like a lot of auto pay options are. The one that's confusing folks is when they go online to the Invoice Cloud and they process the payment, it takes some time, 24 to 36 hours before that actual payment is processed. So if they try to process that on the 10th, then it we won't see it hit our computer system till probably the 11th, right? So you'll get a penalty, for example. Well, we've tried to work that seam and try to forgive some of those penalties when there's proof that it was paid, all those things. But at the end of the day, there's always a overlap in everything we do, right? In society. I mean, it's like I said, with Inter-County, it's the same thing. And so if you go to Invoice Cloud, you need to pay it closer to the 5th. If you do the ACH, which is your direct automatic withdrawal, you can do it on the 10th. You just sign up for the ACH and it will occur on the 10th precisely. Right.
Mr. Coffey, do me a favor.
Yep.
I'm going to have a water bill that's due the 10th of November.
Okay.
All right. When do I receive that bill? When will I receive that bill? When should I receive that bill?
Let's let Marshall spend time, because I want him to be responsible for the utility.
Okay.
And so let's let him explain it and then interact a little bit.
So the bills that would be due on the 10th of next month are typically mailed out around the 15th of the previous month. So that bill should already be out there, for example, for the 10th.
Say that again now. So you said my bill due on the 10th of November is already in the mail on its way to me. I already got it.
Yeah, it should be already be out. And if the customer is signed up for Invoice Cloud, which Earl has mentioned before,
Yeah.
especially if we have a email on file for that customer, they'll be notified automatically when that bill is populated. And even, like, it's actually mailed out through a third party. So when that list is sent to that third party for bill printing, it's actually populated on the website or on the Invoice Cloud dashboard for that customer. So they can see it in real time at that point.
Okay, so I already got the bill, and it's due the 10th of November.
Uh-huh,
And I'm not going to pay it.
uh-huh,
10th's going to come and go.
yep.
What's going to happen to me as a customer?
On the 11th, you get a 10% penalty, and then
How do
they
I
actually,
find out? Am I going to find out about that penalty?
I'm sorry?
How do I find out about the penalty?
How do you find out about the penalty?
Yeah,
Well, it shows up on the bill as a delinquency notice.
it's already on the bill though, right?
Yeah, well, actually, it's added to a delinquency after that date. So when you get the bill, when you get to the end of the month, which we actually give the customers a grace period to the end of the month to pay their bill. And when we give them an automated call for them to reach out and say, hey, according to our records, you're currently delinquent on your water bill. Please reach out to us for payment, and so on and so forth.
Marshall, I think he's asking there, doesn't the bill that he received that's about October 15th, about November's bill, it says on there, if it's not received by the 10th,
Oh,
then there
yeah, I'm
will be,
sorry.
right,
It
I
does.
think that's the.
And also, if there's a delinquency on the bill at that time, it shows up as well, too.
Yes. But it tells me that if I don't pay it by the 10th, there's going to be another balance due, right?
Yes, sorry.
See, so I didn't pay it on the 10th, and so you're saying the next day I get a delinquent notice?
Mm-hmm.
And I get that via text or phone, or how do I get that delinquent notice?
Well, actually, you can get a notices a number of ways. You can get notices by text, you can get notices by email, especially with the new software that we have now.
Okay.
But again, once you get to the end of the month, if you have a delinquency on the account, we'll give you a call and let you know that your account is outstanding. And if we don't receive payment by that fourth week, usually it's the Wednesday or the Thursday is when we generate the cutoff list. If we don't have payment by that time, then
So
you'll be
it's
on
due
the
on the 10th.
delinquency, on the cutoff
It's
list.
due on the 10th, and I didn't pay it. And so you give me until the 26th, 27th, 28th of November before,
Yes, sir.
that's when it really becomes what?
Yeah,
Half
that's,
due?
yes, correct.
All right.
And that's when, so we mentioned before about the phone traffic, right?
Yes.
So last week, for example, it was pretty quiet in the water office. But now you migrate into this week, and especially next week, it's going to be very, very busy and very difficult for those customers to make the calls.
Yeah.
Because we have limited phone lines into the city hall.
Yeah.
So, we always try to urge those customers to, one, obviously pay on time on the 10th, but pay before the end of the month, and then, so you don't run the risk of getting into that traffic jam of the phone lines and so on and so forth. But we've also got a 1-866-771-1193 number that the customer can call 24/7 to pay their bill also.
But I still haven't paid my bill, and so it's the 28th, 29th of November. So what happens to me at the end of November?
Well, you get put on what's called the delinquent list, and
Okay.
it's a possible shut-off list. So
Okay.
we'll generate that list. We'll generate that list typically on a Wednesday morning, and that's the list that Earl's talked about that we've improved. So used to be, it was done by hand-carried paper documents in work order fashion, right? So the guys will head out in the field early on to do the cutoffs, for example, and then come back and get the reconnects. Well, we feel like we're past that now. We've migrated into the new technology. So we've generated an Excel in the cloud format that actually lives on the desktops here for the girls in the water office and also the guys out in the field that's doing the field work. So like, for example, if you came in and paid your bill and the folks are already out in the field doing the cutoffs, but you came in and paid your bill, they'll click a button here that turns that cell green, for example, and then they won't even stop at your house anymore. They just keep on going, right? So it leads to better efficiency, but better awareness in the field too.
But you're not going to cut me off until the end of the month.
Correct.
If I don't pay, I'm still
That's
not
not,
paid. so
that's
you're
the
gonna cut me
plan.
off.
We don't want to have to cut anybody off. but-
Yeah, when I get to the end of the month, though, here's where I think if people are getting confused. I'm at the 28th of November now. And I'm still on you for the 10th bill, but I'm getting another bill sometime this week that says I got one due on the 10th of December.
Yeah, well, I mean, used to be that there was an overlap, like what Earl talked about.
Yeah.
But now that with the innovation of the new software, you know, we're somewhat sidestepping that process now and making it more real time. So if you did, for example, wait and never paid your bill, and by the 28th of the month, likely you're going to be cut off for the month and be out of water. Now, that's obviously is nothing that we want to have to do,
Sure.
but, you know, it is just part of the process to get people to pay bills.
But if I come in say I come in and pay it before you cut me off, say I'm on the 27th and I pay it, I got to pay my bill, plus I got to pay the late amount, right?
Yes, sir.
Which could be
You owe the 10% and a $25 fee as well.
10% of the bill plus the $25 fee,
Correct.
right?
So that being said, I mean, if a typical customer waits until the end of the month for those actions on their bill, you know, they're increasing the value of their bill substantially.
Yeah.
By the end of the month. So it's always best to try to pay before the 10th.
Well, I just want to make sure we're giving people plenty of notice. From the 10th to the 28th, you're saying,
Yeah,
is about 18 days?
yeah. It's somewhere in the 27th, 28th, whatever it falls on in the month. But we do, you know, customers have asked about a grace period, and we actually do provide a grace period to the end of the
yeah.
month.
14 days, right? 18 days, right? Okay, just want to check, all right, because,
I have a question.
So now I want to say this, this is not understood. It is very important to recover the fees associated with a delinquent account.
oh, I don't,
We are, when we have our rate study done, for example, with our wholesale customers, like Parksville, if we're not adhering to some of those ideas of cost recovery, then our rates will be challenged at the Public Service Commission. And honestly, the accusation will be is that we're putting the delinquent burden on the Parksville group or the Garrett County group or someone else. The idea is that for utilities, the cost you cause, you pay, right? And so then the reason we do time and materials as opposed to a lump sum on our tap fees. So we say the base tap fee plus time and materials. The customer A, it is not their job to fund another customer's decision to build something way over here or up on a hill or something far, far away from the main line, right? So those costs have to be borne by the person causing those expenses. It's the same thing for the cutoff. So if we're doing maintenance on your individual account, that is staff time, that is things you're contributing direct costs to.
Yeah.
So we do have that fee, but it's to recover those specific costs.
yeah.
And I would
yeah.
argue that $25 doesn't begin to cover
No.
the impact that you're having with the fuel prices the way they are.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
And I don't
Right.
have a problem with any of those things. I'm
Right.
just trying to figure out in my mind when John Doe stops me on the street tomorrow and asks me about his or her water bill, I want to do like what you did in my presence, be able to explain step by step about how you prevent all this stuff from happening to you.
Right.
And then if I found out that Jane Doe or John Doe hadn't paid a water bill the last 6 months, then I have another conversation I need to have with them. And you hit one real good the other day, but we just trying to help resolve this thing so our customers can be at ease about paying their water bills and that we are viewed out there as being user-friendly. And we are trying to be user-friendly, and that's the message that I'm trying to get out to people is that, you know, work with us, pay your bills, we're gonna be user-friendly with you, there is a grace period, but let's just get it done.
Yeah, and I know some of the other utilities, their cost for that turn on or turn off fee, we were $25. A lot of the others are much higher than that.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's still a level that we think is, you know, we could justify way more than that, I believe.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
But,
that.
and I'll say this, the customer service, so Randy's done a good job identifying training at BCTC, so we're going to go through the process of additional training and customer service. During this transition, though, I want to just suggest that it has been an overwhelming process. The phones are ringing nonstop during those weird days because folks, it's a new method of communication. It's a new method that folks are seeing their bill. They have to adapt, right? And then people will get into a regular cycle of how they're interacting with the new software or the new choice that they're making to pay that bill. And over time, that will become more efficient, and the phone lines won't be ringing as much. And so I would argue that, yeah, staff sometimes can get short or be more direct than they intend, but when they're trying to get to the next person in line, that is a hard thing to do, and I certainly commend them honestly for their ability to be patient through that process, even though they don't always come off as patient. And I would concede that. That's something that we are obligated to work on, and we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I've observed some of that, yeah.
Right.
Comment, question?
I have a question for Marshall. So if I go on Invoice Cloud on the 9th or 10th, it might not go through, and I might get a penalty? Maybe it needs to say pay by the 7th?
Yeah, we're at the behest of the processing companies sometimes. When you pay with a credit card, it's usually pretty instantaneous online. But if you pay with an e-check or something like that, it does take some processing time involved. So once you get into the website, it explains payment methods and wait time.
Okay, so it explains it for the
yeah,
person, that it might take 2 days?
It does.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's making a good point. I mean, like, there's Venmo, there's many different ways that you can make payment, and each one has a different processing time.
That was what I was gonna say is, I mean, if there was a notice, okay, I'm on the 10th or the 9th, and it says this could process in 24 hours, you may be, or 48 hours, it'll take that to process. But there's choices for everybody. It's not like anyone has to do Invoice Cloud or automated pay. You can come and drop it off, or you can mail it in, or,
still
so
do the
there's still
Dropbox.
choices.
You
You've got
got
Dropboxes, and you've got banks that accept them in other
You
cities.
can pay at a bank, you can pay,
Right.
that, like, there's a multitude of ways now, and that's been a lot of work, and listen, we thank Farmers Bank for
Right.
the service they provide in Perryville and Junction City, so that a person in Junction City doesn't have to drive over here if they don't want to.
Right.
So we commend them for that, and they've been a willing partner in working through that. It's just, we can't control the timing of all those activities when there's so many of those coming in all the time. So all we're suggesting is that depending on how you pay it, give yourself a little bit of time to make sure that payment comes through in time. And that's normal, as we adapt, thinking through those things is normal for a user of any system.
Well, and we're concerned about our citizens and their ability or their lack thereof to pay. We're concerned about that. We'll do all we can to help them.
And if they don't have a correct telephone number, I mean, you send out the notice, and I'm
Yeah.
sure when they come in, you can try to get a new number.
Correct, and that's something that we've always stressed to the customers as well, is if you're not getting those calls or whatever, make sure that we have the correct phone number for you. That's the best way to reach out to you. And also, back to the due date on the 10th, we have, if we have an email on file, or if you have the Invoice Cloud set up, you'll get automated notices 7 days out. You'll get a notice 2 days out. You get, hey, your bill's due, and then a day out, hey, your bill's due tomorrow, that type stuff, so.
And that is not paperless billing, and I know that was a concern. You still get a paper bill, but we will still send those digital communications out, because they're used to, you only got that yellow card. That was your only shot, right, of being, if you've just been busy and you missed it, it was that yellow card. If that was in a stack of other mail, you might not have ever seen it. So now there's so many chances to get reminders and communication to help. It's definitely an improvement. And so then to talk about this too, folks, we structurally only have so many hard phone lines that come into this building, right? And so because of that, you don't ever have to wait. You don't ever have to call that number and wonder if you're going to get somebody. Call the 866 number. If you call that phone number 24/7, you're going to get somebody to pay your bill, right? So the log jam is only for the front desk window, right? If you have your bill, call the 866 number, and they're going to need your account number, and you can pay it right then.
Okay. Anything else in the city manager's report?
Yeah, we have a bunch of dates that we would like to point out.
I'm sorry for that one. That's bugging me.
And beginning with Halloween is still the 31st. We'll remind people, 6 to 8. November 10th, City Hall's closed. The luncheon, as Mr. Hendricks mentions, on Stanford Road. The 13th is a regular commission meeting, and the 27th in November. We have October the 27th is the Disrupt Danville TEDx event at Gray Valley Hall. That's at 7 p.m. November the 9th is a gallery hop and holiday open house for downtown. The December 2nd is our tree lighting, as a reminder, again at 7 p.m. It's in conjunction this year with the Small Town Christmas Festival activities, so that'd be one of our events there. And December 9th is a Christmas parade at 6 p.m. And again, that'll be more of a festival atmosphere. And there is applications for the entries for the parade, and food truck vendors is online. Would like to point out that the Arts Center has published their schedule of events tied to the opening of the Glass Museum beginning October 21st. They have October 21st, a grand opening, and November 3rd is a ribbon cutting. November 4th is a grand opening for the Art Museum, the Glass National Art Museum. And then the Marini Cafe, if I said that correctly, is opening on the 6th of December. So there's a lot of dates, and I want to throw them out there just for the public at large.
I got the first one recorded. You're going to send the rest of them to us, right?
We'll communicate them, yeah.
Okay. Some of them I already know, but that's a lot of dates.
It is. And the community homeless discussion is out there. The police chief is correctly interjecting himself into the conversation. And so we'll coordinate with him and get with Brent. And I know some other citizens out there. I know Miss Andreas has sent you all an email. We've spoken to her. We'll follow up with her. She's got an event she wants to get scheduled next week. And so we'll see, and we'll get with the police chief, like I said, and try to figure out how we're going to coordinate it on our side so that there can at least be a conversation so that we listen and hear, and trying to get the groups together. That's enough for me. Do you have anything else?
I'm good. You guys
Thank you.
good? He can send us all those dates. Let's move on to the second here, the public. And then I've got a request up here that we'll talk about in a minute. Anybody else on here, the public? Yes, sir. Want to approach the microphone, identify yourself, and take 3 minutes or less and talk to us about what you want to talk to us.
My name is Darrell Lyons. I was here at the last council meeting, and I'll reiterate for the record, I was unaware that the First Amendment had a 3-minute time limit. In regards to the water department and all of the comments that have been made so far, we're not asking for anything new. We're not asking for anything different. You've given us a lot more options to be able to do stuff. We're just disappointed that you're taking away the notices. The disconnection notice that you all sent out before switching to Invoice Cloud, a lot of people, myself included, rely on that because we go paycheck to paycheck, bill to bill. And there are a lot of times where we don't get the bill paid immediately when it's due. Sometimes it's right up against the disconnect when things get paid. It's an unfortunate fact of life. There isn't enough money to go around sometimes. So not getting that notice or having to do a whole bunch of extra work to make sure you all have the proper phone number, because some people, me, I've been fortunate enough, I've had the same phone number for about 20 years now. There are some people out there that because they can't afford to pay their phone bill, they end up getting a different phone number. They end up getting a different phone. They end up switching providers and not able to take the number with them because they couldn't pay the previous phone bill, which is why they don't have the phone number anymore. Those people, courtesy calls aren't going to do a darn bit of good for. And those people are also the same people that are probably going to be the ones that forget, hey, without something smacking them in the face saying, hey, this is due, you need to pay this or it's going to get turned off. Those are going to be the ones that are going to get turned off. Send out the disconnect notices. Now, as far as the increasing prices go, you yourself were the one who came out and said that maybe If we didn't like the price of the water, we'd be more apt to report water leaks. There has been an active water leak on Nancy Avenue for 57 days, pouring water at the end of the street, 141 Nancy Avenue. There is another major active leak on Chrisman Lane that has not been fixed. There are other active leaks that I do not have address for at the moment that are in Perryville that numerous people have reported and stuff has been mentioned about that are not getting fixed. We're reporting the water leaks, but yet we're still paying for them. Some people who have seen no increase in the usage of their water are reporting an additional $40 charge on their water this month for apparently no reason. So if we're footing the bill for these water leaks, then maybe the water leaks should be fixed. And since we're reporting them like we were told to do, and we're relying on you all to make sure that our water is there, maybe you should do something about actually fixing the leaks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? Mr. Lyons, leave? Oh, I was going to ask him to talk to me, okay. Yes, sir. Identify yourself, please.
Good evening. My name is Terry Harper. I'm co-owner of T-Win and Smokey's Barbecue. One thing I hate more than anything is politics. But what I believe in 100% is policy. When you set down a policy, as the commission did for the food trucks, I followed it to the letter. My food truck was number one on the food truck policy that we made back at the end of the first of the year. There's only been, at my last count, and it's public record, there's been 10 or 11 food trucks that have actually had an actual permit issued by public record. There's more than 10 or 11 food trucks in this town. I did what I was supposed to do. I paid my money. I followed the letter of the law.
Okay.
That's what I believe in. There's no law that's any bigger or worse. Killing somebody, yeah, that's got that. But when you pass the buck, because we've had a turnover in the people here, and I understand that, but that doesn't say. And I've already spoken with Tony. I've already spoken with different officers. But there's still food trucks. I'm not going to say this food truck, that food truck, or anybody else. That's your job. That's not up to me to call this food truck, that food truck out. I'm saying if I did it, I followed the law, I paid my money, so be it. I did it. And I did it right. Now, if the rest of these food trucks that come into town once, twice, three times, and I know there's a one-time, two-time, three-time, or a festival policy. Got that. But these food trucks that set up multiple times and still haven't paid anything or don't follow the letter of the law that we've put in place, then why do I? I could walk in here today, I'm a concealed carry owner. I don't have a gun on me. I believe in carrying a gun everywhere I go. I don't have one in here. But that's because I believe in the law and I trust it. But if you're not enforcing it, what does it matter? If you're not saying, you do this, you do that, from day to day, every day, and there's only two places in the city of Danville I can even set up as a food truck. In town, downtown, there is two parking spots. That's it. So Harrisburg supports me 100%. I can go down to Harrisburg, and that's where I'm at more than in Danville. I'm a member of Danville. I want to be in Danville. I want to see my community, and I want to support my community. But if Danville, as a city commission, as a law, doesn't support me, why am I here? Why do I do it? That's my piece. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And rest assured, we'll have someone look into that. Anyone else? Don't leave, come back. Right? Anyone else? Well, I want to thank both of those guys for their patience because we've had a lengthy meeting and we want to hear from them. So that's our job. So let's move along. I've had a request for a 5-minute break. Let's do that before commissioner comments. Is that okay?
We move to do anything?
Do we need to, yeah, no, we're just gonna take a 5-minute break, yeah.
Okay.
The next item is commissioner comments. Are there any brief comments from the commissioners tonight, this afternoon?
I just want to say thank you for the viaduct lights are sort of back on the left side. Did you not? Yes, and thank you.
Yeah, KU got those working for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was the one. Anyone else, commissioner comments?
Yeah, I'll make a couple. I want to compliment whoever wrote the resolution for solarized boil. I'm sorry the two gentlemen have left, but I think it was pretty clear where we stand, and it was very complimentary of the fiscal court, which is well-deserved, so thank you for that. Second comment is I was able to attend Laugh United, and it's always good to see our businesses and individuals support something that's supporting other people in our community.
Okay. Anyone else? I have a newspaper article from the Advocate Messenger dated Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. And on the front page, it says, homecoming past and present. Just want to say congratulations to the father of the Boyle County 2023 homecoming queen. I want and only Mr. Coffey. Congratulations.
She looks like her mom.
Oh, yeah. Well, then on the other side, though, her and her teammates have won 2 games in the state tournament and have made the Final Four.
Yep.
So that's
The only
big.
public school in the Final Four.
Yes, so
Oh, you
yeah, you have
serious?
three private schools and then Bull County.
Right.
Whoa. Mm. So we know where he'll be in a few days, right?
Yep, Thursday.
Thursday, all
Come
right.
join them.
Okay, anyone else? Real quickly, the chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills in the amount of $1,136,850.89 as presented.
And a second? Thank you
Second.
all. Any questions about any of the items on the bill list? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, say aye as well. Oh, okay. Next item is Resolution 2023-10-2305, the opioid settlement participation form. Mrs. Compton?
Yes, so if you all remember back last year, we agreed to participate in some opioid settlements. So essentially opioid distributors and pharmaceutical companies that created them were sued, and extremely large settlements were provided to states and local governments. We have to sign a individual agreement for each distributor, which is, I believe there are 5 within this section. Allergen, some of these you won't have heard of because they're pharmaceutical companies. Allergan, CVS, Teva, Walgreens, and Walmart. We have previously received a portion of a different settlement at about $85,000. I do believe this one will be a larger settlement. We don't know how much it will be. The funds we've already received and these funds that come in are restricted for use for opioid-related abatement. So at some point in the near future, Earl and I have discussed a little bit, but we'll come up with a plan of how we want to expend those funds in the ways that we are required to.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion?
I'll move to accept resolution, where are we at here? 2023-10-2305.
Thank you, sir. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, thank you. Motion carries. Next item is 23-10-2306. Mr. Carrier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We were recently awarded the Spears Creek Sanitary Sewer Pump Station Improvements Project to Herrick Company, if you all recall, as a low bidder. This change order regards various changes to the original contract to address needed federal contract provisions that's set forth in the pending STAG grant application process. So the STAG grant we've known about for a while now. It's a $400,000 grant that we've been notified, I guess unofficially, that will likely be receiving that grant. Part of the application process and solidifying the paperwork for that is to provide various contractual obligations on behalf of the low bid contractor to do certain things related to some of the federal requirements for that STAG grant. So that's what we're doing. It's a change order. It's a zero cost, zero time change order. It's just a change order in the paperwork for what they're responsible for to better align ourselves for the STAG grant. And they were receptive to doing it, and we appreciate Herrick Company's willingness to do that.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I move for approval of Resolution 2023-102306.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions or comments?
I mean, looking through the list, it's huge, so I'm glad that we're on there.
Yes.
Not many in Kentucky.
Yes, yeah, we're proud to get that one,
Right.
just like all the rest.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments or questions? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item, Mr. Currier, is yours as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Per City Commission action, Resolution 2022-04-25-06, the city moved forward with pursuit of an EDA grant to fund $1,996,505 of future project construction costs relative to the Lebanon Road, Clark's Run Sanitary Sewer Project Phase 2 construction cost. On September the 26th, 2023, the city received notice of award from the Department of Commerce, Economic Development Administration for this project. This agenda item is for authorization of required financial documentation to move forward with attribution of said funds. So the EDA grant was for $1.996 million, and this is financial paperwork that the city needs to sign off on so we can provide that back to EDA.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commission, what's your pleasure?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-102307.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions or comments?
Glad we're getting that grant also. Thank you
Yes.
for
Yes.
whoever's putting in for grants, Marshall or
Well, it's team effort.
Everybody-
There's a lot of
well,
folks
thank you
involved
all.
in something of that scale, so we're
Thank
excited.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, let's create a motion, and all those in favor? Say aye. Those opposed, motion carries. I was waiting for the next comment, I'm sorry. Next item, Resolution 23-102308, salt bid renewal. Mr. Morgan.
Yeah, thank you all. In your package, you have paperwork from where we did the salt bid last summer. At that time, we awarded the contract to Morton Salt at a price of $104.75 per ton. There was an option in there for renewal. Each company bid a renewal price as well at that time. Their renewal price for this year is going to be $114.75. And looking at some of the other prices that were bid and just the unpredictable nature of the market right now, we're requesting that we go ahead and accept that renewal price for this year.
Thank you, sir. Commission, what's your pleasure?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2023-102308.
Second.
Thank you all. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Josh, you want to continue, please?
Yes, in your package, you have a contract amendment from Hub and Weber Architects to do the conceptual design for the Jenny Rogers Aquatics project. This is a no-cost change. We're rearranging some fees that we had left over on Phase 1 of Jenny Rogers, so we're not increasing their overall contract at all. We're just moving those fees left over from Phase 1 into the aquatics part of the project.
All right. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 2023-10-2309.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
A second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Can I ask a question? I mean, just a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I know we need to move on. It's
No, we
just, so this is the I mean, I don't know that the commission decided definitely that's where we were, but I want to make sure we do this, and so the contractor or the people doing this aren't just doing it. You know, if that's what we've decided, let's just say that's what we've decided, or we want to move that way. I think, you know, we were all headed that way. I just don't know if we
And I
said
think
it
what we'll do is this gets us
out
going
loud.
where we can start putting some concepts together and some cost and like we'll try to get more, touch base with you all more often, that if we look like we're going down a route that you all don't want to go, we can pump the brakes. But this just gets us started. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago, we introduced, like I said, introduced Tommy to the project out at Parks and get him associated with it. This is just for the conceptual part of the design. So this is just probably gets us through maybe the first of the year.
So yeah, in a project like that, you normally have a concept phase where you advance an idea which has been given to you towards a more rigid proposal. You're going to be provided that concept, and normally what we do is ask permission and get that concept approved.
Right.
If that's the case, then you're approving us to move into preliminary design. And then once we go into preliminary design, then you'll refine that number, you'll refine the layout, you'll refine those details. And then at some point in there, we'll usually that becomes a budget item, so that's a budget discussion in the spring, at some point, maybe not this cycle, but the following. And then you would authorize us to fully fund that and then go into final design to go through the process. So there's actually 2 or 3 layers to it. What Josh is wanting to do is go ahead and proceed into a conceptual layout for that property, because that was I guess, the most preferred option. And so what we in order for us to really take it beyond now, so then the next question is, well, what do we do next? How do we decide? How do we make that final decision? Well, you make it with additional information. And so you make it with developing a final concept that has the sizing and some more details developed, so you can get a more finite cost.
I'm just saying,
Right.
I mean, I just want to put it out to the
You're-
citizens that, hey, if we've decided, if the commission has decided we want it at Jenny Rogers, then we say we want it at Jenny Rogers, so that they don't have that thought that that's where we're headed with this.
Correct, and you're doing the right thing by telling us to clarify it, and I appreciate that nuance, because you are not saying we're going to build a pool. You were saying that we want a fully developed concept plan for that site, and that way we can make a decision whether or not that's going to be the site for a pool.
The big thing that you'll see in here that the one consultant that kind of gets added to the team is the pool aquatics consultant. And so that we've got them on board now, that we can start bouncing questions on how this project will look. We can bounce some of the big questions about the size of pool, the depth, if we cover it or not, where we put the pump room. There's things like that we can start digging into a little more of the details. Because there's still even a feasibility concept to this right now. Is that site even feasible? Like, we've got to, that'll be the next couple of months of going through that. So yes, we're still a long way from taking that plunge of, oh yeah, this is definitely happening. So this just gets us started and gets the right people in place and gives them some hours that they can spend working on the project and giving us good information.
Investigating that, it moves the aquatics discussion forward. It moves the aquatics discussion forward with the last presentation made, which was the idea of 2 community pools.
Right.
We believe one might be best suited for that Jenny Rogers site. So this takes that idea forward into not a completed set of plans, moves the ball forward.
One of the things we're going to do during this phase 2 is bring that consultant to town, and we're just going to walk the Bunny Davis Center and not only talk about their current operations and how they conduct their business from a pool standpoint, so they can transfer that same kind of mindset to the new facility, but also just to look at Bunny Davis and give us some thoughts about what it would look like to renovate it if that's the route we decided to go. You know, and that's, like I said, there's a lot of questions to be answered as far as how that operation looks when we're all said and done.
And I mean, in the strategic plan, we all said that.
Yep.
It was, I just want to clarify it.
Yeah.
For me.
No, thank you, Donna. That's the right thing to.
Yeah, I think it's a great question.
Right.
And as we look forward, and if we do have 2 pools, we're moving forward by ourselves, but actually Bunny Davis, Boyle County might be wanting to help us out there, so it's good to do that. I'd like to ask if you could just clarify for me in the resolution, reallocate unused fees. Maybe you and Lee can tell me what that means. Where's it going?
So when they do these task orders for us, our consultant, they'll put a certain amount of hours in these task orders. They'll say, okay, we're going to get, our architect's going to have X number of hours, our civil engineer firm's going to have this many hours. And they'll start working, and we treat this every time we do want to bring one of these to you all, which I don't say every time, but I should say more, is these are not to exceed fees. So they'll bill us for hours every month that they've worked on the project, and then we'll just work out of that fee until they run out. This is one of the situations where with phase one, they actually had a lot more fees left over than they anticipated. So we're going to slide those hours out of phase one, Jenny Rogers phase one, into the aquatics project. So this, it just keeps us from adding more obligation, more encumbrance to our current budget.
Do we have a motion? And we have a second? And then let's create a motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item is 2310, the Michael Smith Park Phase 1 rebid.
Yes, we looked at this 2 weeks ago and wanted to bring it back. We've gone through the evaluation process with the low bidder, and they've made a few upgrades to the playground equipment that they provided, and there's some sketches in your packet of the equipment that we've landed on. If you go through the packet there, they've got a very nature-based idea to some of these components. I did want to reiterate that the playground will have a rubber surface, like a poured rubber surface, like what we put at the new playground at Millennium. So we're bringing this back to, we would recommend at this point award to the low bidder, which is HWC Enterprise, in the amount of $1,116,746.02. I did want to, we talked a little bit about it last time, and I've been speaking to our consultant about the alternates. We bid 3 alternates on the bid as well. That would be above that base bid. And on the low bid, the alternate one, they call it Second Street Connection Improvements. It's pretty much the concrete and curb work that connects the splash pad area to Second Street, and then kind of rebuilds the corner of Second and J.E. Wood. It's $90,402.50, and then your alternate 2 is the rock fence construction, which is $41,750. I've thought a lot about these. It would be nice to have them included in the project because it would be turnkey, and we would know we would have those. They would probably go ahead and start working on those fairly soon while they're getting all the splash pad playground components in. But also, I think $90,402 is, we could probably do better than that from a cost standpoint on that concrete work and the connection to Second Street. So I think I don't want to leave that entirely in your all's hands. I want to make a recommendation to you. But I think at this time, I would move forward with the base bid. What I'd like to do is I'd like to work with the contractor to maybe change that scope a little bit and maybe bring it back to you all as a change order for that work, see if I can get that price a little bit better, and get it under that $90,000 mark, if that works for you all. So at this point, I think I just still recommend going forward with the base bid.
Okay. Is there a motion? You want to discuss before we have a motion? What's your pleasure?
I'd like to discuss.
I would too.
From citizens, they would like the base bid plus alternate 1 plus alternate 3 is feedback I've personally gotten. At least base bid plus alternate 2. Just a lot of citizens have mentioned that was really important to them, and percent-wise, it's not that big of an increase. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah, and I think so too. So maybe this is a question for Stephen. Maybe this is the right place to ask this question. But at the state, we always had a guideline in place that you had to take alternates in order. You had to go, if you couldn't take alternate 2 without taking alternate 1. Now, the purpose of that was to keep people from bidding a lot of alternates and then manipulating who was low bidder by selecting certain alternates. That's not a problem in this situation. Our low bidder is clear. Our low bidder is clear by they're lower on every item. So I think, Stephen, would you be comfortable with us skipping over alternate 1 and taking alternate 2?
Yes, I would be.
Okay. So that's on the table as well. We could do that. But we still would need to build the concrete sidewalk and do some manipulation to the corner there. So we'd have to do some of the work involved in alternate 1 no matter what. But we could pull that out and then reevaluate it and maybe bring that back as a change order or do that separately with city staff or something if we can't get to a good place on the price. So yes, I would be comfortable with us awarding the base bid plus alternate 2.
See,
So
my
that's what the
question
commission would
was
like.
that, you know, I mean, are 1, 2, and 3 the alternates? Do you see them going down in price in the next, if you hold off?
Not in a bid environment like this. So I think the only way we could do it cheaper is if we did some work in-house,
Right.
some of that kind of stuff. But we're busy. We have a long list that we're trying to catch up on anyway with Public Works. So no, I don't think these prices are crazy. I just think looking back at alternate 1, we could probably save some money there. But it would make for a nice finished product if we went with
Right.
alternate 1 and went ahead.
You tell us what was in alternate 1?
It primarily was the sidewalk that went from the splash pad area to Second Street, to the corner of Second and J.E. Wood. It's the rebuilding the curb in that, around that radius there at Second and J.E. Wood.
Tying to the crosswalk?
Yeah, tying into the
Breeze,
crosswalks,
breeze.
doing all the they'd be ADA crosswalks, then we would do some things like that. So if that's something you all are interested in us moving forward with part of the project, it would take the project from about $1,116,000 to, what would we be at 1.20? It'd be just under 1.25 million. It'd be just under 1,250,000.
1.3.
Let me get that. Stephen, probably be good to have that exact amount.
If you include all 3, it's $1,267,498.52.
Yeah. I'd like to hear from the others, but this has been very supportive by the community, and taking it down from 2.4 million down total to 1.2, I think is quite impressive already. So that's where I am. It's just, this project's real important to my constituents.
I'm just more about the cost. It's not going to go down, so I'm not sure why you would hold off and do a change order. Just be upfront with how much it is in the very beginning.
I'm good with that. This actually makes life easier for us and it makes a cleaner project overall, you know, if we go ahead and just commit to the alternates.
I mean, we didn't have it in the budget, though, right?
So we will have to find the difference between 1,267,000.
It's almost $300,000 above then, right?
Now, I will say that there's other capital components in the parks this year. So it may be that we'll be able to subtract from one of those and move those towards this. And so that's what we would endeavor to do.
See, I'd like to know what that is before I.
Right, me too. I would like to know what we're taking from.
Josh, how
on the
much time
money.
do you have on your bid?
So we have 60 days.
Do you want us to bring it back in 2 weeks with a little bit more?
Financial?
We would lose 3 weeks.
Well,
And
and let
we're
me
starting
say-
to get close to that May 1st. We start pushing our deadline. We have 3 weeks till our next meeting.
As
We have
long,
5
if
Mondays.
you know you want to proceed with the project just for efficiency, I mean, I know everyone likes to know what the complete project cost is going to be, but change orders aren't a bad thing. It's the way we can proceed with the base with knowledge that change orders perhaps would be added to in the future. But you also may, when looking at budget alternatives, to see what apples you're gonna have to take out of another basket, decide you don't want those. So if you know you want to do the project to allow it to commence, seems for efficiency, I mean, that's why we have change orders, that you would accept the base bid and proceed if you know you are committed to the project. And however, to the fullest extent it's built out, that may change based upon your conversation that Josh has within the next 2 weeks. But it seems like you could at least accept a base bid and know pretty soon what those change orders are going to be for a revised total project cost, if that's what the end goal is.
Lee and I here, we're looking at the capital budget. I mean, really, from a practical sense, where you'd be taking money from would be the fairgrounds development line in our capital budget, which is design money for the fairgrounds primarily, with some start of construction on whichever route we decided to go in January, February. Honestly, looking at how time goes with us right now and the capacity we're at, that's probably not hit until next year's budget anyway. But, we'll stay within this year's budget. Now, from a grand scheme of things, that's still money that comes out of our general fund line for capital. So, I mean, it is taking money away from something else. But like we said, this is work we want to have done. I could work to piecemeal this and change order and maybe save us, $20,000-$30,000. But if you all are like that, this project's a home run, we want to move forward, that makes a lot of sense too. So,
John, I was trying to find a picture and find the measurements for the rock wall, the limestone wall.
Well, you're looking for that. Where's the extra $116,746? And I'll donate the 2 cents coming from over our budget of 1
We
million.
were going to take it from the overall parks allocation
Okay.
this year. Right.
Yeah, so that's taken maybe for some
Parks
other
Capital
projects.
Fund from the
Okay.
yeah, right.
So the parks capital budget this year in total was 5.065 million, so 500 million. No, 5 million. And like Josh was saying, we budgeted $1 million for the fairgrounds development, which was intended for design and potentially beginning of construction. And I don't know that he's gonna get there to spend all that. So essentially, you're just reducing a different project. We do that on a regular basis for instance, the Public Works Department. They decided they weren't gonna find a dump truck that essentially we had budgeted for within that price range. So instead, they needed a different piece of equipment. It's coming from the equipment, the money is in the same general category. It's just not the same project.
I think all that's to say, I don't think you would be sacrificing something else to take this. I mean, I think, I don't think it has to be viewed that way.
Definitely not at the base bid level. Yeah. The rock wall, you're probably not, alternate number 2, you're probably not going to find a cheaper way to do that than including it with the contractor. If you're inclined to do the rock fence, I would suggest just awarding that now. If you want to look at the concrete, you can always try to whittle out some, but you're not going to cut 90,000 in half. You're going to cut $15,000 out of it, by eliminating some material, some work. Whether or not you can alter the design to do that. I would say the supplemental plants, Josh, we could do that with our beautification.
Yeah, I would not recommend taking that, to be honest. I would recommend holding off. After we've included that in there, we started going through this bidding process, I've had some good conversations with our consultant about partnering with Creek, Preston was here, partnering with those groups to do some planting down there, kind of as at our grand opening in May, kind of doing some community planting and things like that. So I think that we could offset that. I mean, that's at $18,600. We could find another way to spend that money.
So then my recommendation, to follow up on everything Josh said, would be if you're inclined to do the rock fence, accept alternate 2, award the base bid plus alternate 2, and ask Josh to come back in a couple weeks with improvements to the alternate 1 and see what he can whittle out of that without impacting the overall aesthetic of the project.
Because how important is the concrete portion of this project?
And it is honestly, it's just popping in my head. Marshall and I probably need to have a conversation about the sewer line before we maybe put pouring concrete where he's going to tear out in a couple of years. So that's another piece of this conversation that just popped in my head. So we talk about things long enough, I'll think about something smart eventually. So yeah, I agree with Earl. That sounds good to us.
I can live with that.
That was your suggestion from the start, wasn't it? The base bid and alternate 2? What's that?
Hey, Josh, I actually heard
I
that
don't know
pop
who
in
your
your head.
constituents are anyway. You sound like somebody else.
Made a noise.
I know. I'm not gonna call his name out. He always tosses out. This is what my constituents want. Who are those?
Citizens.
5 people. Okay, we don't have a motion on the floor. Let's get a motion on the floor.
So the total of base bid and alternate 2 would be $1,158,496.02.
Rick's 2 cents.
Thank you, Rick. I'll put in $6.
That's it.
I'll move to approve the resolution 20231023, yeah, 10, with the base bid plus the alternate 2.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions or comments?
Just to know, this money does not come out of the road fund or paving. Streets and roads. It is not out of that.
Okay, let's carry this motion. The motion has been amended to include the base bid and alternate 2. It's been properly moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. We start on Michael Smith Park sometime this fall?
Yes, we will start. I don't know if they'll actually break ground until after the holidays, but what this enables us to do is get our shop drawings and submittals done for all the equipment and get those ordered, because I'm not 100% sure of the lead times. So these are mostly stock items, so we feel pretty good about the timeline. Those should start rolling in the spring. So I'll find out more in the next couple of weeks as we do a pre-construction meeting and get back to you all with some information.
Maybe at the next meeting and on the concrete portion too.
Josh had another thought that was mentioned to me coming in tonight. Spending this kind of money, security cameras, improved lighting, it's all in this bid?
There is some lighting in this bid, but I don't think there is cameras. We'll look into that.
You look into that, because that was, okay, good, okay. We carried the motion. All right, so the next item, I think the last item on the agenda is 102311 KPDI Danville Grant Agreement. Josh, it's on you as well.
Yes,
right?
we've talked a lot lately about the PDI grant of the project on the Norfolk Southern property down by Clark's Run. We finally have the agreement finalized with the grant folks, and part of this is that the city has to approve this final version of the agreement because we are the grantee. The grantee has to approve it, and the beneficiary has to approve it, which is the EDA. So Terry at the EDA and the EDC, they've worked hard on getting this agreement to a good place, and now it just needs the city's approval. And I think the deadline to do this is today, if I'm not mistaken. So it's
10 minutes ago.
And I just wanted to reiterate that the agreement may be modified slightly from its current form as the other partners look at it and as the cabinet looks at it. And so the resolution before you contains some language that it typically does not, which approves the agreement as it exists today, but authorizes the mayor to sign it in any revised versions that do not materially alter the agreement. So I typically don't have that language in there, so I just wanted to point that out to you. We'll make that determination if it's a material alteration for you, Mayor.
I'm Terry Crowley with the Economic Development Authority. We are the beneficiary, you all are the grantee. What we actually have is the legal paperwork to kind of start the clock and release the funds. The city has to accept that as the grantee. We have to accept it as the EDA. Our attorney has looked it over and really hasn't suggested any changes, but has simply flagged a few things that we need to just simply be aware of. The total length of the time it's going to take, that type of thing. It's all typical language for a grant agreement with the Economic Development Cabinet. I plan on emailing them tomorrow, accepting that. I would hope that the city manager will do the same. And then it has to actually go to another finance cabinet approval of some sort, which I wouldn't anticipate any problem with. But the project will then kind of get off the ground. At that point, we've simply got to finish the purchase agreement with Norfolk and Southern, which is an EDA Norfolk and Southern negotiation to purchase the property, and that's when things really get started. So that's what we're looking for.
Good, good. Have we approved our matching funds for this? Has the commission approved that, or was it in the budget already?
It's in the budget.
By authorizing the agreement, you're approving the expenditure. We'll have to follow up at some point in the future with the budget amendment to allocate the funds towards the project. But you're essentially authorizing it tonight again.
But it was in the budget. No,
We did not
okay.
set with that, which is why we need a budget amendment, but you're authorizing us to proceed in that direction tonight, yes. So technically, you won't obligate the funds in your budget until you do a budget amendment, but you're authorizing the disposition of the funds through the grant agreement process. So you're instructing us to do a budget amendment essentially by passing the agreement.
And for clarity, the county has approved their portion. You all, I think, have approved your portion. It's like, say, it's a budget amendment. They are not involved in this because they are not the grantee. They're involved as a financial partner, essentially, so.
And you said that again, right? They approved their matching grant, right?
This is correct.
Sounds good. Do we have a motion?
We don't.
Well, let's get a motion.
I move to accept resolution 2023-10-2311.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you all. Any other comments, questions, any other readiness? If not, the chair's going to call for the question, and all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you all.
Thanks for staying up late, Terry.
We're
Go
moving
home, go to
forward.
bed now?
Takes me back. We used to miss the kickoff on Monday Night
Oh,
Football all the time.
absolutely. Hated that.
Okay, guys, I gotta ask a question. The chair's in need of a motion to adjourn.
Go ahead.
I move we adjourn.
What?
Move we adjourn.
Oh, they don't want to go.
Yeah, we're fine.
Is there a motion to adjourn? During the meeting?
Mhm.
Will you second it?
I made it.